Hey, here we go. This is part 2 of my modeling series. This episode is called Construction. Tutorial Part 2, Construction. In this one, I'll be showing you some tips about construction, and since I don't currently have a model that I'm working on, I've just finished one, I don't have any actual parts, so I'll be showing you the framework of the parts. So, I'll be showing you some tips, some nifty stuff you can do, and some definitely what not to do. So, here goes. When you open your kit, you're going to get some frames like these. You're going to get some of these, all these will have parts on them. You're going to get a transparent red one, which will have stuff like tail lights and brake lights on it. You're going to get one of these chrome-plated ones, or silver painted. This one usually has stuff like the grill and the rims, or at least the outside bits of the rims facing out, and the reflective bits that go inside the rear view mirror and stuff. Most of them will be molded in usually white and sometimes the color that the car is supposed to be. Like I had one kit where it was supposed to be black and the plastic was molded in black. So it's usually white. So of course all these would have had pieces on them when I got them. And you usually get maybe 3 or 4 of these. And you will get a completely transparent one, which will have like your windshield and headlights in it. So, but I don't have that with me here. I recommend having your instructions set here off to the side because you won't actually be working over them. So what you want to do is you'll have the different steps here. And so, for example, here's in step 32, we need pieces 51 and 52. You can see they're small numbers, and it should also tell you the name of the piece, at least in this case, it doesn't always, and then it will always give you the color. And the color is either done by number or it'll say the name. So there it will have the piece. So then what you want to do is you want to take your plastic piece that has the piece on it, and now this isn't the actual piece because I've already put it on the car, but this is the imitation of the actual piece. So again, you want to be really careful with this hobby knife. It is very, very sharp, but it works very, very well. So you want to cut out your piece. This isn't the actual piece, so usually they're just held on by little tabs, although that's probably going to be too hard to cut, even though it's a really sharp knife. Just get something simple and small. So let's pretend this is our piece. Right there. So you want to cut it out, and then probably grab some tweezers if it's this small. And if it isn't, you can use your fingers. And you want to use the modeling knife to deburr the edges, so get any burrs from cutting it off of the edges. Then you want to recap your knife, very important. Then you want to swing over here to paint. There's the piece. And you want, I'll cover that later. And then once it's painted, you want to swing over here to glue. Now, for me, when I do my gluing, I take the cap off of this, and sometimes it'll just kind of start coming out. I'm not sure if you can see that, but sometimes it will. Then I take a toothpick and I pick up a bit of the glue, and sometimes with tweezers, you can't see that, can you? Sometimes with tweezers, if it's too small, I take the piece and I'll put the glue on with the toothpick where it's required. You don't want to put too much glue on. You definitely do not. Then you take the thing that you want to glue it to. Let's just say for this example, I want to glue it to this. and you put it on, position it how you want it, like that. So then you want to leave it to dry. One thing you want to be careful of is that sometimes this one thing you want to be careful of is that sometimes this glue will take the paint off of stuff. So be careful not to put it, like drop it on your kit, especially if you've already sprayed the body. Try not to drop it on the body because then it has a chance of taking the paint off of it. So you want to be careful and try not to touch it with glue or paint hands. So I like to have a paper towel always handy, kind of crumpled up off to the side. Now for the decals, that is kind of, this will take comparatively a long time. So what you want to do is get your cutting board and your decal sheet. You want to take your hobby knife and cut out the decal that you want, or that the instructions call for, carefully. There. Set the decal sheet off to the side, recap your hobby knife, and now got your decal. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put it here. So now what I want to do is I want to take this, which is my water thing for decaling. So I'll take the cap off, put the decal in. Now I do it a different way from what is described in the instructions. Just let that sink to line the right side up. Yeah, I do it a different way from what is described in the instructions. In the instructions, they just say to dip it in water and then take it out of the water and set it on a paper towel and wait till it can move. But I just stick it in the water and leave it there until it'll move on the decal paper. Now, this might look a bit weird because when I take this off the paper, it's going to take some of the paper color with it because each decal has kind of a clear border around it that's made out of the sticky decal stuff. And some of the color on the paper is going to come off and stick to that. Now that, I've actually never seen that happen except on this model because I'm pretty sure that this model was made in 1993. Because, for one thing, in the instructions, every instruction book has a little bit about the car. And this one talks about the car in the present tense, whereas most of them talk about it in the past tense. So this is old decal paper, and that is why the color of the paper will come off onto the decal, but that will not happen with any newer models. So I'm just going to pause this and wait until I can move the decal, and then I'll come back. Okay, I think it is ready to go on. One thing you want to get is 2 toothpicks. These are really handy for decaling. And a set of tweezers. This is why. So I can take it and reach the tweezers in, take it out of the water, and then you'll see, yep, I'm just going to reposition so the tweezers can get a better hold. I'll place it over the place where I want to put it, and take my toothpick, and I will slide it off. It usually comes off easier, but as I said, this is an old decal paper. And then I can just stick it there and line it up how I want, and then I can just throw out that decal paper. And now my decal is on. You want to give it some time to dry, definitely. Maybe dab it with a dry paper towel. As you can see, the border kind of looks yellowy, and that is because it has taken some of the color from the decal paper. But as I said, that only happens with older decal paper. So that should not be a big problem. This is the definitely what not to do section. In this section, I'm going to be showing you a huge mistake that I made in the first little bit of my modeling career, and it cost me the life of a very nice kit. It helped to completely destroy the look of the car. So, what I used to do is, I used to work on a smaller table and I wasn't as organized, and I had the instructions open like this. And then, I wouldn't have much room. So what I would do is, I would take my glue and I would squirt some of the glue onto the actual instruction book. And then I would take my toothpick and dip it in and put it on my part. But every time I put more glue on, because the glue kind of soaked into the instruction book really quickly, so every time I put more glue on, I put it in a different place. So like here, 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 here. And then the problem is I end up setting some of the parts in it, especially when they're painted. I'll just grab one of my kits here to illustrate that. This Corvette is a prime example. This Corvette turned out to be a failure because for many reasons that I won't get into here. But one of the things that totally spelled its death is that thing right there. That is glue, and that is because when I was putting the top on, I flipped it over, because it wasn't on the car at this point. I flipped it over to put glue around this edge here, and didn't I set the top in one of my puddles of glue. And apparently something happened here too. I forget what that was, but I know this for certain was I set that in glue. And that was one of the things that made this car a complete failure. Never, ever put glue or paint on your instruction book, like to put a puddle there. That is why I have my glue on a completely separate thing here. And this is also where the paper towels come in. I'm just going to pause here. Okay, now, as I was saying, this is why I use these paper towels. So, what I do now is I take my piece and I cut it out on the cutting board, then I take it here and I paint it, and then every now and then, like once I'm finished the engine, for example, which is usually the first steps, I take this paper towel and I throw it away. And then, so that I don't set anything else in the paint that happened to get on the paper towel. Then, I get a new one for the paint. So now that the paint is dry, I put it over here. I take this, and I uncap it, and I put a little puddle on this paper towel. I replace this every now and then. And then I use this toothpick and pick up some glue from the puddle, and then I put it on this here, and then I let it dry. And then, if it's certain things like the chassis or the body, I put them on their entire separate paper towel somewhere else for later so that I don't get any glue in it that way. And so, now with these extra precautions, I've never set anything in glue or paint, as far as I can remember, since that disastrous Corvette model kit. That is a definite what not to do, and this is a definite what to do.